Look, I am absolutely delighted to have this chance to launch what I think is an absolutely superb book today. Late last year, I made my very first visit to Gallipoli. It was for me an enormously emotional experience. As a military man, you would expect that I had been immersed in the military history of Gallipoli and the Anzac campaign for so many years. I have read dozens of books, I think almost every significant work on Gallipoli. And when I arrived at that desolate, beautiful place, I was ready for an experience that was eye-opening and informative. What I wasn't ready for was the emotional experience. I stepped onto the beach. I stood with my heels in the lapping waves of the Aegean Sea, my boots on the rough stones, the rounded stones of that beach, and looked up at those extraordinary cliffs and bluffs. And I am absolutely convinced that in that moment of quiet reflection, I could feel the ghosts of men bumping me gently as they moved past up that beach. And later that visit, I walked to the whole battlefield and I walked up into Lone Pine, and the wind was gently blowing through those pines, and the sound of that wind, I believe absolutely it was the voice of Anzac ghosts speaking. It was an amazing experience. But I do wish that I had read Josh Funder's book before I went, because my appreciation of the things I saw and felt that day has been immeasurably increased by this work. I've read a lot of books, as I said, on Gallipoli. I can say honestly, Josh, this is one of the best that I have encountered. It opens up Gallipoli in ways that had not been done before. It is marvellous. It is absolutely wonderful. It mixes reality and narrative fiction in a way which is sensitive and accurate and remarkably evocative of the time and the experiences of a man who I now wish I had met, and that's Stanley Watson. Captain Stan Watson, who amongst other achievements constructed the pier that was instrumental in the safe delivery of the Anzac Corps off that dreadful beach at the end of a failed, fruitless and stupid campaign. There's no doubt that Stan Watson saved many lives, and the account that Josh has rendered here is absolutely to be absorbed and experienced, and I commend it to you absolutely if you haven't yet had a chance to read it. Why do I say such things about it? Because it connects in a way that is absolutely emotional in its context. In all the other books I've read, it's been about the adventure, the futility, the losses, the bravery, the extraordinary courage, and you finish reading those accounts with a sense of great admiration and awe and great pride in the things that were achieved. You get all of that from Josh's book, but you get more. You get an emotional gift. You get to experience through Josh's words, through Stan Watson's eyes, the way that it was for an individual, a man who was intelligent, sufficiently in touch with his own core to feel despair, to feel loss, to weep for a lost child, weep for lost colleagues. The emotional delivery, in my view, is what makes this book stand out. It is tremendous in that regard. It also is beautifully written. I mean, it's seriously well written, as you'd expect of a smarty pants Rhodes Scholar and Oxford graduate. But there are some wonderful pieces. Look, let me just read you something. Listen to this. How's this for a sentence? This is describing a battle in which streams of Turks were attacking the Anzac line. Here's this sentence. It's just wonderful. It says, "Countless bullets fill the night, and yet still more Turks exhumed themselves from their trenches in wave after wave of futile attack." Isn't that wonderful? Exhumed themselves. It carries weight that works on so many levels. His discussion of the slowly withdrawing, thinning out of the lines in December of 2015 as the Anzac contingent was withdrawn, aided very much by Stan Watson. Here's another wonderful couple of sentences. Remember, at this point, there's virtually no one left holding the line. Josh writes, "The Anzac frontline trenches were now empty, forfeited to no man's land. Like a crab shedding its shell, the Anzac army was soft and exposed and skipping away to find shelter, leaving behind only a brittle carapace of its former defences." That's seriously good. That is really good. Oh, I agree, bravo. But look, the other thing that I admire so much about this account of an extraordinary Australian is Josh's ability to bring us to understand with extraordinary clarity some of the small events that make the big picture so much more real, so much more compelling. And one of the intriguing things about reading this book is you're never quite, in some cases you're quite sure what's true, but there are many cases where you're just not quite sure, is this true or is this fiction? And in many cases there's a really intriguing blur, and it works so well. I also admire the way that Josh has drawn out one of the components that Sally alluded to that is so important to me, and that is the cost that veterans pay and their families pay for their service, and in so many cases how they are damaged by their service. And at the risk of speaking a little too long, let me just read you one other short extract where Josh talks about Watson's horror, dismay and grief when one of his soldiers, a young man named Sapper Fitzroy, is killed early in the war. And he talks about how a sour taste of vomit lingered in his mouth. And then another wave of emotion rose up within him. He suppressed it savagely. This was a time to think and act, not to understand. Watson knew if he didn't push his feelings away, his nerve would fail. He saw the scene from above, saw himself slipping down this slope, and detachment now became his protector. It's just such a wonderful insight as to how veterans manage the ghastly things that we do and see. It's pretty special. Josh, I'm very pleased to have this chance to launch this book. I'm very proud to have done this. You can be proud of what you've achieved here. It is a special gift. It is a gift. It's a gift for people like me to immerse themselves at a different level in a way that is so rewarding. It's a gift for others who have no military experience and want to know more, and to delve into that experience at a deeply personal level. So, with great pride, I declare Joshua Funder's book, Watson's Pier, officially launched. Thank you.